this as well?
Not
Because
necessarily.
now we just do one audit, so it's just,
It's just one audit. They have their own little packet of audit, that's just their section, but it's really the town's responsibility.
Sorry, stay late.
next item is discussion by council board or other action on ordinances. Ordinance section 2-190, Parks and Rec Commission for a second reading. Everybody should have a copy of it in front of us. Is there a motion to approve second reading?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Bonamici, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. O'Hara. Under discussion? Under discussion? Roll call vote?
Mrs. Bottomoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Osier?
Yes.
Mr. Vadeney?
Yes. Now we just need the administrator to sign. Nobody needs to, it becomes effective. Next item is discussion by council vote or other action on change order for Branch River Business Park Access Traffic Study. Mr. Ezovski.
Not sure. I guess it was a prior council that had approved the traffic study that was needed to be able to take the next step in the pursuit of a permit opportunity. I won't say the permit itself, but a permit opportunity to be able to show someone who is interested in the land at Branch River that we have. It's currently industrial zone, but has been for sale for many, many years with virtually no activity. In our view, myself and the planner, a big part of that is the lack of access to the land. It's over 100 acres that abuts Route 146, visible from Route 146, but the only way to get to it is from 146A. And challenging circumstances that happen morning and night in that area. So it doesn't make it real attractive to add 1 million square feet of business buildings that were identified as possible in the Branch River redevelopment study. So we, for those who don't know, we were authorized by the last council to first go through an analysis of the geometry to see if a access point could be created from Poundville Road into what would be, to create effectively a new front door for that business, that industrial land. That work was done by the McGuire group. The results were favorable, that the topography and access could be managed to create an access pretty much right at the location where the existing on-ramp starts for Route 146 northbound, near one of your favorite potholes, Terry.
Oh, yes, and it's coming back.
At that point, the concept is that we move that access to that ramp closer to 146 itself and allow that access point to be the entry to the Branch River industrial land by going around the hill for the most part, not up over it, but around it on the highway side. We got basic verbal approval from both Rhode Island DOT and the Federal Highway Administration that they felt that could work. But they were concerned that there might need to be traffic control at that set of that intersection circumstance. The two on-ramps, or the off-ramp, the on-ramp, and the new entrance to the park. So they asked us to obtain a traffic study. That was put out to bid, and McMahon Associates was the low bidder and has completed the work that was prescribed in that. It basically indicates that the access to that I just described could work without crossing any bright lines as to trouble points. But they saw that the other side, at Great Road, might be a problem. Now, reality is, that kind of surprised us because we didn't have that in our scope. That, you know, the interest was what happens at Pound Hill. But obviously, our interest is to make sure that the whole thing works. Their assessment, on the other hand, of the Great Road side only considered one entry point. And what we have over there is opportunity for at least two entry points. So what this proposal before you, long story short, is to ask them to reevaluate that 146A side with the two entry points. And the expectation is that it will show that that side can be compliant with prudent traffic engineering standards as well. So our request is to increase the contract value there by a total of $2,100 for that purpose.
Have a recommendation from the administrator. Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we extend the amount of $200 to complete the study needed.
Motion by Mrs. O'Hara. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bonilla. Just under discussion, funds are available.
Actually, that's the second part of this. We had, I think, a total of $20,000 appropriated for this. This total will leave over $7,256, and we would like to transfer that to the demolition fund for the Stamina Mill office building, which we recently obtained a second round of bids on, and our original $11,000 budget provided to us by a local demolition resource yet again comes in at the bids came in much higher than the estimate. The bid that we do have is for $18,000 versus the $11,000 budget. If we can transfer these funds, if the council will accept that, we can issue that contract and get that building demolished.
So it's like two issues right now. One
Yes, it
is
is.
to extend the contract, $2,100. We have the funds for that.
Yes.
After we do that, there's still excess funds that were allocated. We want to reallocate those to somewhere else. So let's take them one at a time.
And the motion is pending, Mr. President.
Right, that's why so there's a motion and a second and pending to award an additional $2,100 to have the work done on the highway. So
Do you want a second part of that motion?
just two separate motions. My question was there enough funds to do that, which there are. So with that being known, roll call.
Mrs. Bottomoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Osier?
Yes.
Mr. Vadeney?
Yes.
Thank you. I certainly hope that we can get this to a point where, you know, we can say to anyone who has interest in that land that, not that here's a permit, but here's how a permit can be obtained. And not, you know, just telling them, we're showing them that we have documents and accessibility through Rhode Island DOT.
And then the next item is a proposed item to commit in town council reservations. That's what we're showing that we still have.
We'd like to transfer.
It's $7,256. And the motion is to take that and transfer it into a fund that we've already established for the demolition of the Stamina Mill office building. Office
make-
building.
Correct.
And I make that one. You said it completely, I don't have to repeat that one.
So I have a motion by Mrs. O'Hara, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bonneville. We already discussed that, so.
Well, I just emphasize for anyone, who might be watching the meeting or, to understand, we don't own that property. So this is the community stepping in to say, we've got to get rid of this building before it falls down, someone gets hurt in it. That property is, we do have a tax lien on it, to the point that we could own it if we wanted to. But as we all know, it has a continuing presence of an environmental issue that EPA is working on under the Superfund program. So what we're doing is really dealing with blight and safety at the expense of the community, admittedly, but there is no other alternative for this. So it's outside the zone of impact by the chemicals, so EPA won't touch it. It's not that we're volunteering into something, we're simply the only entity that can do anything about it.
Gary's long overdue, and I'm glad you're making that.
With the lien on the property, does that mean that we're technically the owners of that property?
I certainly wouldn't want to say that because it's the kind of property that nobody wants to own. We could be, is what it is.
Well, the reason I ask that is if we have somehow cited that we're the owners of that, then it really kind of falls on us to make sure that that building goes away. So if something goes in it or whatever, something happens, we're responsible for it.
This is a public safety initiative. That's all it is. Some kid was in there, hanging around, and as you watch it day by day, a major snowfall may take it down for us, but it's not good.
One last question. We've got the motion right now, a second, to reappropriate those funds, the excess funds to reappropriate them. Do we need to award to Eagle? Not at this time. Not at this time. So we're just going to reappropriate them.
Yeah.
So there's a motion to reappropriate the funds. Roll call vote.
Mrs. Bottomoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Osier?
Yes.
Mr. Vadeney?
Yes. Discussion by council board or other action on accessing meetings from home, live stream via the web, tape meetings for Cox Cable and public access TV. Mr. Osier.
So the last time we talked about it, we were just waiting on to see if we had the right camera, so we'll be able to watch it.
I was able to locate my piece of equipment at home. I did upload the last meeting onto a disc. I'm just having some issues with the sound. It's not the sound from the meeting, it's just the sound with the device I'm using. So I'm going to take this meeting, upload it onto a disc, and see what I can do. Hopefully next meeting I can get better answers for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is it an issue of getting other equipment to make sure
Well,
that it...
I have the piece of equipment at home, so all it does is I put the card in, and it switches it over to a disc. It allows up to 4 hours onto the disc, which we wouldn't have that much time on the public access airwaves anyway. Well, we got 2 hour. Is it 2 hour?
It's a 3-hour block on one day and a 3-hour block on the other. So if it was to go long, we could split the disc.
Okay, so I can adjust it to where it takes 6 hours onto one disc, so I can get it on there. And that if we have to split it up over two, we can do that. If not, show it twice.
Run it into the other time slot.
Correct.
The
All right,
question
so
was if you're having an issue with sound.
yes.
People don't want to just watch me.
Oh, exactly. Absolutely.
And so that's why I'm saying...
Yeah, I'm still playing around with it. I haven't used that piece of equipment in a long time.
That was my question.
Yes.
If we need to, do we need to buy a piece of equipment so that we can make that transfer?
Correct
Yeah,
To
well-
make sure that the sound comes through?
Yeah, let me play with what I have, and if it comes with that, I'll make that request.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, discussion by council board or other action on appointments to town boards and commissions. Asset Management Commission, appointed by the town council. We have a 1 5-year term, a 4-year term, a 3-year term, a 2-year term, and a 1-year term. And we did see that we had at least one person who was interested. Paul Nordstrom was interested in a 1-year term. And I make the motion that we appoint him. I'll explain that after we get the discussion. So I got a motion to appoint Paul Nordstrom for a 1-year term.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bonneville. We've done the discussion. don't know if anyone here is aware, but Paul is the Director of Operations for Narragansett Bay Commission, probably the second biggest entity in the state. He's well aware of this stuff. He's shown me what they do on a regular basis with reports. They have to do this constantly, do asset management studies and whatnot, issue reports. And he's wholeheartedly says, I'd love to help you guys help set up. He's getting ready to retire from Narragansett Bay Commission, so he said, I'll commit to it. And he says he can bring in some of these people that he's worked with to explain to the rest of the group how to go about doing this. So I think it's going to be a very good appointment. So there's a motion and a second. Roll call vote?
Mrs. Bottomoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Osier?
Yes.
Mr. Vadeney?
Yes. I did also hear from John Perry when he did send the letter. So I want to be consistent. If we don't have a letter, I don't do it. So I want to be consistent. And we did get a letter or shown interest from Jeff Porter, who is on the planning board right now. So I want to wait and see what we do. I know we have trouble filling boards, so it's not. And he does meet the criteria of what we're looking for with the Asset Management Commission. He is an engineer, an architect, I should say. So it fits the criteria. Let's just wait and see what we get at. So if you know of somebody that meets that criteria, if you're wondering what it is, look at the ordinance because it spells it out right in there. What we're looking for. I'd like to get that going sooner. It's long overdue. Economic Development Commission, appointment by the Town Administrator, with Town Council approval.
Unfortunately, I don't have anyone for you on that one yet, but I do hope to have recommendations for you on Personnel Board and Sewer Commission by the next meeting.
New business, discussion by council vote or other action on establishing the senior citizens precinct program.
For quite a while, I've had this on my mind. After seeing various communities established from an old meeting place to a new center for senior citizens, with Cumberland, Lincoln, and years ago I audited all senior citizen centers with it for Joe Garrity was in the state of Rhode Island starting off. Various places met the needs. The Center of Woonsocket met the needs of the majority of people there. Providence met the needs of the majority of people there. But as you went on to different communities like the Providence East Side, which had another one, you know, there are a lot of people of my age group that retire that don't want to spend winters here or there. They go on trips. Some don't even go to Florida, to be very honest with you. And then they meet and they do things. They share trips. They may make plans to attend plays. They play a good game of poker too, which as long as you don't bet it's fun. But there's a camaraderie, and we don't have it here. Someone made the remark that, well, I talked to some people and they're not in for it. They wouldn't do that. If it was set up, and it would be a place for seniors to do, we have people in North Smithfield that are seniors that are working for senior programs in Woonsocket or volunteering. There's something wrong with that. I'd like your permission. I want to go see 3 or 4 places. I would like to meet with the head public of the director of Elderly Affairs, who I work for also. I think there's a need. I think it would be wonderful. And we have different speakers, etc., or different people who are retired artists that would come in and do things without. And I would even like to see seniors work with children, the younger the better, with a reading program associated with the libraries. And our esteemed allied commander here mentioned books, the sooner the better. And get something through the seniors established here. You know, we may be retired, but there's a lot of very active people that, and some of us are left widowed, etc., that we can meet. we can't figure out something for the town. You know, I'm thinking of holding someday Christmas in the park. And there are a lot of very gifted people in this town that could help with, you know, decorating it, putting it together, being a very integral part of this community. We have the historic, we have so many parks and recs. Well, how about a senior committee that I'd like to go forward? I don't know if there's available funds out there, but we will find out. But I wanted, before I went to represent our town and hopefully what we could do. And by the way, I spoke to many young people, and they thought, and I mean in their late 30s, 40s, and they thought it was a wonderful idea. Because sooner or later, you don't go backwards, you go forwards, and this may be the place that can be a meeting place, something to share, because we're born in the same time span. I think we're educated and are very concerned about the education of our children as well in this town, whether they're yours or not. So I would like your permission to start getting this set up so that, see if we have the feasibility of having a senior citizen center.
Well, you want a senior citizen center, not a senior citizens.
That's how
commission.
we need a commission as far as getting this going. One person doesn't do it. They're also very busy on other important matters. Just think, does Cumberland have a new one? Does Lincoln have a new one? North Providence